Hey folks, welcome to One Pissed Call, and today is a special episode because not only joining me is the always lovely Jessica Van Hook, we have our buddy, Landon, composer, musician, content creator with us as well. What's up, bud?
Hey.
Wow, what an introduction.
The enthusiasm. Hi, Landon.
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, you should have. I thought you were gonna come in like playing instruments. You know, it was gonna be a whole thing, but no, that didn't happen. So, Jessica, tell us why you're pissed off today, or why you're not.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
About what?
That no one knows that Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month is September.
I didn't even know it when you told me that we were gonna do this episode. I had no idea that was even a thing. So
yeah, me neither. I didn't know that was a thing.
I literally do a podcast with a political activist and a paraplegic, and I had no idea that there's anything that remotely related to the month that you just named.
Well, something I've learned is there's pretty much a month or a week or a day for anything if you really look it up. That's because I mean most illnesses will have some month or day or whatever. That's like I'm a victim of gun violence. There's a gun violence awareness month also. Would never have known.
What month is it?
I believe it is.
You believe?
July?
You were shot by a gun and you don't know?
Well, listen, I know that. Let me think. I think June is Pride Month and Gun Violence Awareness Month. July is Disability Pride Month. August is my birthday, and September is Spinal Cord Injury Awareness Month.
And here we are, so to speak, observing it. Yeah. Okay, so what's some stuff you wanted to say involving said month?
Well, one thing that I realize a lot of people don't know about spinal cord injuries is that you are not guaranteed to need to use a wheelchair. There are plenty of people who have spinal cord injuries that are quadriplegic or paraplegic that can walk, that you may never even be able to tell that they have a spinal cord injury because it all just depends on how severe the damage is.
When talking about are we talking about just like the spinal cord, the cord within the vertebrae of the spine, or is it not limited to other forms of back injuries like slip disc or sciatica or whatever?
A spinal cord injury is specifically an injury to the cord. It's considered a neurological injury. Yeah, because it's just like the long tail of the brain stem, right? So it's actually similar to a brain injury in a lot of ways. And so I recently drove for the first time since my injury. And before driving, I had to take a little test, basically. And it was like they did cognitive tests to make sure that even though my injury level is low, that there's no damage higher up or brain damage or anything else that can come along with a spinal cord injury.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know people with spinal cord injuries who can walk. I know people with spinal cord injuries who are what's called ambulatory wheelchair users, which means they can walk, but they also do use a wheelchair sometimes. And it's crazy because there's a story about this guy who's a quadriplegic, meaning his injury is high up enough that it affects his arms. And he actually is the owner of an accessible gym in LA, and he can stand up and he can walk. And it's part because, his injury allows that function, but also part because he has worked really hard on the muscles he can control. And that's the crazy thing is just depending on how the damage happens can change how it shows up. If just one side of your spinal cord is damaged, then your resulting symptoms are just going to be on that side of your body. If the front or the back of the spinal cord gets damaged, it results in different versions of sensation and control and stuff like that.
Does polio fit in the category of spinal cord injury?
That's a good question because I'm not exactly sure. I know it's it damages but I think that's more of a muscular disorder because I believe it weakens the muscles. It doesn't necessarily affect the spinal cord itself.
So, since we are, first of all, shout out to the guy with the gym. I don't know his name, but I'll try to figure it out and put the link
It
in
was
the
years
description.
ago that I heard the story about him, but yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah. We'll do the research. We'll get it figured out. Now, since we're a political podcast, though, I do want to ask, what do you think it is in the form of either social or personal change that people should do to like observe this holiday or at least make life better or more accessible to those that are affected by these issues?
Politically, learn about the ways that people who need accessibility and like adaptive things and all, learn about like the legal parts of disability, which can include like the rights, which when it comes to physical disabilities, you don't really think of people's rights being taken away with it. It's more commonly understood as like when you have a mental disorder or disability that people will get like their rights to make their own choices taken away. But there's actually a lot of ways that people who are physically disabled are qualified as having a lesser quality of life. So we are literally like valued less. Like one thing that a lot of people didn't know during the height of COVID is if I were to be in a hospital on a ventilator and an able-bodied person comes in the hospital and they don't have a ventilator for that able-bodied person, they will take mine away and give it to an able-bodied person because that's viewed as saving the more quality life, solely just based on the fact that I am disabled.
That's fucked. Okay.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Precisely.
Those are like the more political ways where it's like it is legally allowed to pay people with certain disabilities less money or like literally just value them as less. Or if you qualify for disability and you get disability and then you get married, your spouse's income counts against your disability, as if your spouse existing makes being disabled less expensive.
That's insane.
What?
Yeah, and so I became disabled after being married, so I don't even know if I would have significantly more given to me in my disability if that hadn't been the case. And things like insurance and stuff and being denied, like that's one thing also people don't realize is and I guess this is not spinal cord injury specific but just disability specific. Doctors can just say you're too complicated, I'm worried I would get in trouble trying to, like they're protecting themselves by saying I'm worried I would treat you and it wouldn't go well and you'd want to sue me, so I'm just not going to see you. So sometimes people with disability, like when I first came back to my hometown after my injury, I was like, oh, I'll just go see the doctor I've always seen. And I saw him and I at least appreciated his honesty because he was like, I don't know anything about spinal cord injuries. I mean, that's not exactly what he said, but it was implied. He basically said he would just send me to specialists. So I would be better off finding a primary doctor who could do more themselves. And even though he didn't tell me I couldn't come see him, he basically told me I shouldn't.
I mean, at least he was honest with you about that, though.
Yeah, I appreciate that because a lot of doctors aren't as honest, or they even say like, oh, I'll help you figure this out. I'll help you do this, whatever. But then when it comes down to it, they don't know and they don't go out of their way to learn it, unfortunately.
Fuck you.
So, okay. So that's crazy enough already. I feel like there should definitely be okay. There's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah, we have the Americans with Disabilities Act. From,
yes, that's what I was about to reference.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, but it's as inclusive and helpful as it is, sometimes it's very vague. Sometimes it's kind of not the most enforceable because of state laws. Like when it comes to applying for a job, right? They can't discriminate against you because of your disability. But in some states, it's much easier for them to do that because you pretty much can't force them to give you a reason why they didn't fire you. So then you can never prove that it had to do with your disability. Like that's the hardest part, is proving your discrimination in a situation like that where they can come up with a million other reasons.
Yeah, I remember in 2017, Ro Khanna was trying to get a bill started that essentially was going to do away with a lot of those loopholes that people find, you know, the minimum lift requirements for clerical work, stuff like that people do to try to essentially segue people with disability out of their jobs. And of course it was, I mean, blocked by Republicans as per usual, but
yeah.
My question is, on a personal level with all that, what are some changes you could see, like, as far as the way of making laws or committees? What would you want established to try to better the care, like, more publicly for people that face these issues?
First, I would love some representation that wasn't Madison Cawthorn or Greg Abbott. Like, I despise them, and I posted that I am very much okay, because at one point people were making jokes about putting a stick in Greg Abbott's wheel spokes so he got stuck and fell, and people were like, that's so ableist. I'm like, he's a horrible person and he does not care about disabled people. I am actively pro making jokes about Greg Abbott falling out of his wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with Madison Cawthorn.
Like, also, I wish he wasn't in a wheelchair, but I wish he was to be pushed regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you two ever seen the TikTok where the guy is playing a video game and his friend's got a pie and he takes like a broomstick and puts it in the arms of the chair, and then he pies the guy in the face, and the guy can't get out because he's got a stick in his way?
Are you proposing we do that to Greg Abbott?
Yeah. Yeah, except like in his wheels.
Yeah.
But
I will fist fight him. I feel like that's fair. And
oh my God, that'd be no. You know what?
Foxes, disabled boxing.
I can punch through a tree faster than Madison Cawthorn. I promise. I've never tried it, but I just feel like I could. I went to
a metal show back in LaPorte of all places, and it was after my friend Corey had been in a terrible car accident, and he was he had a spinal cord injury, and there was, you know, a wheelchair and everything. Now he has been able to walk. Awesome. But he still does use like assistance. I think he uses a cane like every day. Yeah. So there is assistance still. But one of the things we did as a benefit is all of like the local metal artists got together, and there was indeed a wheelchair pit, and it was awesome. There were people that showed up from all over, like all these people in wheelchairs, and like they were all disabled, and they just had a pit just for them, and it was fucking gnarly and metal as fuck, and I loved it. Oh my
goodness, I love it.
That's what you should do. You should get Greg in the pit, and you guys should like bumper car him or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, definitely better representation would help, because although Greg Abbott, like Madison Cawthorn definitely like was seen a lot in his wheelchair. I feel like Greg Abbott does it a little less. Like he kind of does the thing where he's like behind a desk a lot of times. But recently I've seen more pictures of him out in his wheelchair. But yeah, it was just really annoying that Madison Cawthorn was my. I mean, there's other people, like I know, is Tammy Duckworth? Is that her name? Tammy Duckworth? She's like an amputee now. She was, you know, representative of disabilities and wheelchair users and stuff. But yeah, it's just the two most known people in politics actively right now who are in wheelchairs are demons. But at least Madison Cawthorn got voted out.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so that's like the political side. On a personal level, I think. Okay, so some people don't like the idea of, I can't think of the word for it, but basically like putting yourself in someone's situation and trying to do things, like putting yourself in a wheelchair or at least sitting down and trying to do something. Some people don't like that because
they think it's like ableist and like,
Well,
especially when like
yeah,
YouTubers do it, like they walk
it
around in like a fat
can.
suit or something.
Yeah, it definitely can be ableist if you're just playing around. But like also the idea is like you shouldn't have to actually experience what someone else goes through to believe them in their experience. But I don't see it as like people not believing people. I see it as you don't know the little details until you go through it. And like something that I've talked about a lot with my therapist is how much more difficult it is for me to cook. And that sucks and it's really annoying and I like to eat, so it's frustrating.
Yeah, me and Landon love to eat, in fact.
Right.
So
Something. Go ahead.
I talked to her about it and she just decided, like, she didn't talk to me about it beforehand. She, like, one day in our appointment, she let me know that she decided to try to make dinner from a chair. And she actually like started to cry a little bit. She was like, I had no idea all of these little things that I never thought about would be problems for you. Like, how do you move a pot of boiling water to the sink when you have to use your hands to move your wheelchair? How do you reach things? How do you maneuver heavy stuff? How do you, like, all of these little things? And it really opened her eyes actually doing it. And so, like, if someone tells you their experience, you should totally just believe them. But I do think there are a lot of little details that people won't get unless they actually experience something. And so I think, even if it's just, you don't have to go through but just thinking about, man, if I couldn't get up, I couldn't have just done that, or I couldn't have done this or whatever. And, thinking about ways that, like, everyday things aren't as accessible as you think they are, so that if you do interact with a person with a disability or a person who uses a wheelchair, you're a little more aware of things. And also you've thought about it before, so you're not like panic thinking about it in the moment.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that there's a market? I mean, let's throw this into the capitalist view, right?
Okay.
Do you think that you would benefit if there was a market for, like, I guess you could say, like, jerry-rigged or altered items to help with those things? Like, if there was a certain pot that you could drain one-handed?
Yeah, there's like little different ways. Like, you can get like silicone pads, so you don't have to carry something all the way to the sink. You can just set it on the counter and slide it on, a heat-proof pad, or there's tons of little things. And it's funny, I was just talking about this the other day, how there's a brand called Kizik's that made shoes that, like, the back of the shoe pops down really easily and pops back up, so you can step on the shoe and slide your foot in, and it's like hands free. You don't have to bend over. It's and they sold them as accessible shoes. And then Nike did a similar thing with their Fly Ease shoes, and they sold them as accessible shoes. But then there's some other company, it was like a major shoe brand, that was advertising their hands-free, like, same kind of design. And I kind of wish that companies would advertise things as accessible when they're like a normal everyday company. Like, Kizik's made the shoes to be accessible. That's their whole website, is accessible shoes.
Yeah.
And so, like, I get that. But, like, I like that Nike was like, hey, this is a shoe that anybody can use, but it specifically is easier in this ways and would help people with these problems. Because, like, it helps normalize accessibility, which some people, I feel like, they're, like, afraid to use accessible items.
That's what I was going to get into with the marketplace. So I actually read something interesting that kind of relates. And it's that people are actually, it was a study that I read, that people are deterred. This is insane, but it's true. They're deterred to buy property that is wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, and I feel like that.
What the fuck is that?
Because, okay, one, a lot of accessible stuff is not aesthetically pleasing. So sometimes when you have a house that's been done up to be wheelchair accessible, it looks very medical. So that could be part of the problem. Also, like, if they're buying it to rent it or to try to make money off the property. People who are disabled are more likely to be on assistance, so you're more likely to, like, it would be harder for you to charge a market rate for that because not a lot of disabled people can afford things that are regular market rate or
That's
expensive.
true. Yeah.
So you might end up not getting as much because the people who need it are all like on like housing vouchers and assistance and stuff.
And not to
fixed
mention,
incomes.
if you're like a heartless landlord, right?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can't
know how
rack up
much people
prices.
are going to side with you. They will side with you throwing a young couple out on the street that can't pay their rent. But if you throw out somebody in a wheelchair,
Yeah,
you might just look like an asshole. Like, you know,
yeah,
like Jeff
that's definitely part of
Foxworthy.
it. And I'm kind of two minds when it comes to people buying accessible stuff, because on one hand, I have seen firsthand people who could benefit from mobility aids or accessible devices not getting them because they don't want to like kind of admit to being disabled. They feel like it's admitting defeat to something, or like taking the easy way or whatever, or just they're not disabled enough. But I feel like, you know, like my own grandmother, she's up there in age, right? I'm using a wheelchair and a walker and I'm 27. We're trying to get her to use a walker. And she was like, oh, you know, maybe when it gets a little harder, maybe when I'm a little older. But like the point of it is if you start using it now, it's less wear and tear, and
On
the
your
amount
body,
of like the amount of years you're able to walk without it will be extended by all the time that you use it. And I feel like that's something that's something people don't get or think about, is like, it's not a crutch to lean on. It's assistance to you know, decrease the wear and tear and stress on your body.
And to be honest with you too, it's even more fucked up because if you think about it through the lens of other adaptive products, like for instance, corrective lenses are just so mainstreamed an idea because of public safety, but also because there's no, like, if you get glasses as an old person, there's not exactly a stigma. You know what I mean?
And even now, like, you know, it used to be 4 eyes. Like, you used to be like, oh, I'm gonna get
there used to be
glasses.
for sure.
But now glasses, there's so many styles, there's so many options that it's like it's a fashion thing. People wear glasses when they don't need to for fashion purposes. So it's become so normal that people don't even know. But the other side of the like people buying accessible stuff is like, when it comes to the small little startup companies, it can be kind of like if you okay, so I have these shoes called Billy shoes, and the whole top of the shoe zips open. Like there's a zipper that goes all the way from the back, down the side, around the front of the toe. So you just open it up, set your foot in, zip the shoe around it. Love those to death. And I've had people be like, oh, that's so cool. I want a pair of those. And I'm like, you know what, normally I would say go for it. But like these companies are often very low in stock, and it's hard for me to find the shoe I want in my size because they are so low in stock.
You should just tell those people, like, can you create more? Like, open an Etsy shop and make more. It's not exactly super expensive to get a YKK zipper and put them on a pair of shoes. In fact, back when my podcast was doing much better and we were looking into like doing like a lot of merch, we ended up just making like a couple of t-shirts and a baby onesie. But still, one of the things we saw was that like zipper application is one of the easiest things you can do. So, you know, tell those people to just go make those shoes.
Yeah. And so some things, especially like that, if it's very specific and it's, you know, there's not a lot of companies making it, or the companies making it don't have a lot of stock, then don't just buy accessible stuff for funsies. Like, but I do wish they would kind of normalize accessible clothes and advertise things instead of just advertising it as hands-free, advertise it as like accessible, or advertise it using people who have disabilities. Even if you don't say it's accessible, show it being accessible.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my dad to adopt using a walker so we like go out and
I mean, the guy had fucking polio. Like, you know what I mean?
Wild.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's a generational thing too.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. We're trying to push him to do it, but you know, he's just kind of reluctant. I think it's a pride thing, but you know, I try not to bug him about it. One thing I think
that needs to be what's the word I'm looking for? Given light is the effect of phantom pains.
Oh yeah.
My uncle was in a pretty bad car accident, lost the use of both of his legs, lost half of his leg. Dude, it was nuts. It was nuts. Anyway, so he in his leg that he had that was only half a leg, he would have phantom pains.
Yeah, where he could like feel his foot and it hurt, but he couldn't because it's not even there.
He would just start shaking his
stump.
Yeah, that's what he called it. He was in good.
No, I know, but it was Landon's giggle that got me.
One of the craziest things, and I don't think people realize this, is how fucking heavy electric wheelchairs are.
Oh yeah.
I had to
expensive.
They're like they got motors and shit on it. They're little mopeds essentially.
My uncle's, for one, a big fucking dude, and two, his I was in Los Angeles with him, and his electric wheelchair decided to die at the bottom of the Santa Monica Pier.
Oh no.
And guess who had to push his ass all the way up?
Oh my god.
If anybody other than you, they wouldn't have made it up the hill.
Someone had to help me. I couldn't go all the way.
I kind of have a similar story, honestly. I was on the drama club trip and in high school, and one of our like chaperones had a mobility scooter, and it died on us like right by Navy Pier, and we had to push it all the fucking way. It was harsh.
Yeah.
A whole ass mobility scooter, which when not with no gas in it, it's not, you can't put it in drive.
Oh no.
So you gotta manually push it until the wheels start rolling.
Oh wow.
As a motherfucker.
Have you ever looked into
And it's like the thing is, these are such easy oversights where it could be like, why is it not? Why aren't like emergency chairs not more accessible too? You know,
or like arm bikes. You know what I don't see enough of? Arm bikes.
Those things are weird. I've ridden on one before. And turning is weird because like you're turning with your arms, right? But you're also pedaling with your arms. So you're like doing two different motions at once. And it's quite distracting.
Have you ever, what's the price tag on one of those?
Oh goodness, I don't know because I
ballpark
rode one while I was at the rehab hospital. Still,
hold on, I'll look it up.
Yeah,
look it up. I'm curious to see because, like, here's the thing: you can go to Walmart and get a bike, a cheaply made bike. But like, what's the problem with those companies that make the cheaply made bikes, like making arm bikes? Just a couple. You just gotta have like 2 or 3 of them. Stocked in a Walmart, and someone like Jessica can drop like $99.99 or
the internet thinks I'm talking about exercise bikes. Does anybody know a more specific word?
So I found an adaptive bike from a company that I know to be like for wheelchairs and stuff, and it's actually a kid's one, and it's $3,800.
Yeah, right here. Okay, I found adaptive bikes. Okay. $4,600, $3,500, $2,800 is the cheapest one I've seen.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm in the process right now of getting it's called a power assist device, and it is like a motor that attaches to a manual wheelchair. And the one I'm getting, I'm really excited about it. But you can charge your phone from it, but you also like you have to charge and stuff. But the thing weighs like 20 pounds. But the one I'm getting, it has like a little dial, so I can like because it sits behind me and it has one wheel and it attaches and it just pushes me straight. And then I like grab my wheels to turn either direction. But they will get me that one. And that one costs $6,000. The one I want cost $3,400, and insurance won't buy that one for me because that one you can off-road with.
Oh, I hate insurance companies so much.
It's not medically necessary for me to go off-roading, so they refuse to buy me the cheaper one because it'll let me go off road.
I can't even go to like a medical.
Christ.
I can't even go to like a medical supply store and get a new mask for my CPAP because I didn't get my CPAP through insurance.
Well, you know what would happen if we just, made it, if we just took away private insurance, it might potentially help with that. It could be easier regulated, just throwing that out there.
I have to refrain from lecturing people at the insurance company on why insurance is a scam.
It literally is a scam, definitively. But, whatever. Yeah. Those middlemen, they make their money. They deny you specific things so they can keep earning that money.
Yeah.
Happy Spinal Cord Injury Month, everybody.
I swear to God.
Fucking Christ. So, yeah, Landon, did you have anything else extra you wanted to add about phantom pain? I know we kind of derailed you there.
No, I just, I've never dealt with it, so I just know people who have dealt with it, and I sympathize with them because I can only imagine what that's like.
Yeah, I say, because phantom pain is a type of nerve pain, right? And I also have nerve pain. The difference is just my limb is still there. It hurts for no reason, but it's still there. It's a wild thing to feel like your leg's on fire and look down, and it's not, but it feels like it. But yeah, I'd say that's also kind of goes back to like spinal cord injury stuff, because nerve pain is like the number one symptom when it comes to like how much it really affects you, at least in my opinion. Because like I would be totally fine with being in the wheelchair for the rest of my life, but no nerve pain or less nerve pain. The nerve pain is what I feel like actually stops me from doing things more than the fact that I'm in the wheelchair. I'll find ways to get around the fact that I'm in a wheelchair, but I can't find ways around nerve pain because there's very few treatments for nerve pain.
And, interesting thing, it's the nerve pain thing. I don't want to put it like this. Okay.
I do have an interesting thing to say about the nerve pain if you guys want me to.
How much of, okay, Jessica, explain something to me real quick. Is the pain coming from the spot where it's hurting, or is it your brain sending signals to something that it's supposed to send signals to?
So the way that it works, at least like for my injury, there is the bullet entered my spinal column and then went down 5 vertebrae and then exited. So there's 5 vertebrae worth of like damage in my spine. And that is where the signals are actually happening. So like when my leg feels like it's on fire, it's not actually originating from my leg. It's the damaged nerves in my back that used to connect to my leg that now are just panicking because they're not connected to my leg anymore. So they're sending like panic signals of pain to my brain about my leg, but it's not actually connected to my leg anymore. So like the leg doesn't hurt. The pain isn't coming from the leg. The pain's actually coming from my back. But because that wire, my brain reads that wire as leg, that's where I feel it is in my leg. It's really strange.
So I just read this. So there is the only known, like, it's not a cure, but something that they've seen that's really helped with phantom pain issues is people have been microdosing psilocybin, like mushrooms, like magic mushrooms.
I think she's aware.
And and apparently microdosing these with the phantom pains just because of the neurological dissonance that comes as a result of having those injuries and that phantom pain. Taking magic mushrooms they've seen late to pretty fair results using that as a treatment.
Yeah, I will say so. Michigan, where I'm from,
reside,
whatever. My preferred home state.
Your hood.
Yeah, in Michigan, in Ann Arbor and Flint, and I think Detroit, those cities, their prosecuting attorneys or whatever, or what? Yeah, like their DAs have said we are not going to prosecute the possession, growing, consumption, whatever, of natural psychedelics. So like shrooms and peyote and ayahuasca and mescaline and what other natural ones are there? I don't know. That's probably all the natural ones I could think of. But like,
Yeah.
so they have decriminalized. They haven't technically like legalized it for sale or anything, but you are totally allowed to grow your own peyote cactus or your own mushrooms and consume those, because they realized it was just wasting money prosecuting those people. So they stopped. And I have experienced some positive effects of microdosing.
Yeah. I mean, I've totally had mushrooms in Minecraft, if you know what I mean, in Minecraft. So don't try to prosecute me in any way.
In Ann Arbor.
In Ann Arbor. I mean, even then, I don't know. It's a little sketchy here. So let's just say I did them in Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
And like that experience was honestly, it felt pretty great, and above all that, pretty botanical. I felt much better after doing mushrooms than I did after like a night of drinking. So
yeah, or like taking any prescription medicine, like the side effects on those.
Yeah, they're insane.
I was gonna say one more
Landon,
thing.
have you ever done that in Minecraft before?
No, but I did spend all summer in Michigan and reap the benefits of the legal state.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Another thing, it's not a psychedelic, but it is a former party drug. Ketamine therapy has shown a lot of positive results for depression, anxiety, PTSD, and nerve pain. I actually went to get evaluated for ketamine therapy, and they like approved me and were willing to do it. They're just like, hey, insurance doesn't cover ketamine, so you're on your own. But they
That's why insurance is so fucked up.
Yeah, I guess ketamine works on different pathways in the brain compared to like most antidepressants and those kind of medicines. And so it's literally like making whole different pathways in your brain and rewiring things. And they think that's why it's helping with nerve pain, is it's like working around the nerve pain and it's able to move through the brain in a different way. And in some states, I believe it was like California and Wyoming and like one other state, they have ketamine therapy that can be mailed to you at home. It's like little tablets. They mail you like your tablet and some other stuff like once a month or a couple times a month, and you take it and you like meditate or relax or whatever, and it's supposed to have like hugely successful like effects. So yeah, that's another one, and that one's a little bit closer to being like regulated and approved and stuff, because they have been doing research on ketamine for a while now. It just wasn't really known about until they're like, hey, this is actually showing really good results.
Wow. How are you with heavy doses of marijuana?
Oh, I am.
How does
do you, as he put it, reap benefits from the
benefits of the medical state? I do. In fact, I have a med card.
I have a medical card in Ohio, so I reap the benefits any fucking way. What's up?
I guess.
I live in Alabama where we still get roadkill and make dinner the same day.
Oh, but dude, but bro, that crawfish though.
Yeah, but crawfish isn't fucking roadkill. Like, when I heard about, like, I was talking to my mom and she's like, did you know that they, like, take roadkill? Because I was seeing, like, armadillos and, like, deer on the road, and I'm like, man, there are a lot of dead animals that you see, and then the next day they're gone. My mom's like, oh, yeah, so people here, what they do is they, stop on the side of the road, they make sure that it's fresh, and then they take it home and make dinner out of it. And I was like,
shoot, we could do
get me the fuck out of here.
We could do a whole episode on like Southern customs that are just like results of either like slave trade or poverty or both.
Oh my God, that sounds very interesting.
The neighborhood that I live in is called Malbus Plantation.
Yeah.
But not, I will say, I've lived in the South for basically since we graduated high school, and it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
Yeah, it's like there is a lot of racism down there, but everybody who's not racist is the nicest person you've ever met. People in the South can be so nice. I love them.
I'm of the opinion that you'll find trash and not trash everywhere. It really more has to do with how individually each state is like politically involved, how poor they are. It really more has to do the reason is generally economic situation that it comes off that way, that like the whole South is racist. It's more just like there's a lot of disenfranchised people that fell into the boat, so to speak, and then became racist, and then their parents taught them to be racist, and then so on and so forth.
I drove 10 hours from Alabama to Cincinnati visiting Logan after some time.
Thanks for doxing me, Landon. It's not like it's already happened once.
And
address and social security number.
And
if you want to draft out my mother's maiden name and my social security number, I can do that too if you want.
And I get to Cincinnati, and the first thing I see is like Confederate flags on people's houses, and I was like, I feel right at home.
I drove north and it got more south.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, especially, I'm not going to say what exact area I live in, but like the neighborhood I'm in, I am without question the most liberal person in this entire neighborhood. Without question. Like, we are absolutely like the weirdo hipsters of the neighborhood. There's no question about it.
I probably am most of the time too. People just don't know because I don't talk to my neighbors that much.
No, we don't either. But just like the fact that we don't have like a Trump like shirt on or like a flag on the side of our house is a red flag to these people.
The last couple places I lived, we had a little BLM yard sign out, and there was one time that a dude with like a Trump flag on his truck rolled coal past us and honked. I was like, "Do you feel bigger now?"
Are you bad enough?
I'm gonna go home, bang my wife for a good minute, and call it a night.
I saw that BLM sign. My whole day is ruined. That's what kills me about that shit. Their whole day.
I don't know if do you all check out Leo Vaughn?
Oh my God. Okay, so listen, one time, me and my husband watched the Leo Vaughn Goes on Seth Rogen podcast, and then
Is it Leo Vaughn or Theo Vaughn?
Oh, sorry, Theo Vaughn, my bad.
You all ran with Leo, and I'm like, who the fuck is Leo?
I don't know, okay? But yeah, one time we listened to like the fucking Joe Rogan podcast with Theo Vaughn on it, and then after that, me and him both constantly were just getting clips of Theo Vaughn on like everything. Yeah. And I was like, okay, first of all, I couldn't watch the podcast because Theo Vaughn was on like a jacking off hiatus. And all he could talk about was how much he wanted to jack off. And he kept saying stuff to fucking Joe. And he was like, "Are you gay? Are you sure you're not gay? Because you're saying some real gay stuff." And it's not like that's gay. It's like, no, sir, that is directly a homosexual statement.
Yeah. So I don't like his stand up all that much. It's just kind of like redneck person yelling a bunch of stuff, and people who sympathize with redneck culture. Hold on, listen, let me finish. And people laugh, but just like him talking is like the funniest thing to me. Like on one podcast, and Joe Rogan's like, Monster Energy tastes amazing, but it makes you piss. And then Theo Vaughn just comes out. It also makes you want to punch your wife. Not that I think that that's funny, but he's like
laughs hysterically. Not that that's funny.
Not that I think that that's funny, but he's like, yeah, I know motherfuckers who drink that shit, and I know they're gonna go home punching.
Yeah, it's the absolute absurdity of everything he says.
Yeah. He's from Covington, Louisiana, so you can only imagine.
You know, his father is like 1,000 years old, or it was before he died. Like when he was born, his dad was like 70 or something.
Jeez.
Something crazy like that. So I think that dude is the classic comedian issue that like all us stand-ups have, and it's literally that our childhoods were traumatic as fuck. So, you know, I don't like to shit on him too hard, but it definitely is weird that he talked about jerking off with Joe Rogan. That's got to be the last person I'd want to discuss that with.
You ever just see like a pregnant dog and get horny?
Oh my god, yeah. The man says like just concerning things, but you're just like, it's strange. He's strange. I could.
So
that's the kind of humor I like, though. When people just like, you know, when people just say, just say what's on their mind, and you know, that's when you know you're a real person.
I mean, I don't know if everybody should always be saying what's on their mind. You know what I mean?
He's not harming anybody.
I'm not saying he is, though. I like Theo. I do. That's why I thought you were being a little aggressive, honestly. But I'm fine with Theo Vaughn as far as a comedian goes. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some, like, I don't like Joe Rogan, so you know.
Yeah, he's you know, I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan either.
He's just like really big on spreading misinformation and acting like he knows what he's talking about, and like
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. But
you disagree with the fact that he spreads misinformation?
I mean, depending on what you're talking about. The guy
sells Alpha Brain, which clinically does nothing.
It does. I've taken it.
It doesn't do anything, bro.
Have you ever taken it, though?
It's a pyramid scheme, dude.
Have you ever taken it, though? Like, have you ever taken it?
Well, I haven't drinking snake oil either, but I think I have a pretty good idea.
Have you ever tried Alpha Brain?
I don't need to.
Why not?
It has no clinical proofs at all.
A lot of the supplements have like caffeine kind of stuff, and that's what provides most of the effect. People like a lot of brain pill stuff. The main thing that people actually feel anything from is the caffeine, and then a lot of times what's happening is like that person wasn't taking a multivitamin before, and now they're taking this brain pill that has vitamins, and they're like, wow, I feel so much better. But it's not like some crazy brain pill. It's caffeine and vitamins, and you're probably paying more to get that in a brain pill than if you just got a multivitamin and some coffee.
Yeah, like the thing that
Flintstone gummies all the way.
I interviewed a doctor one time, and it was pretty exciting. And he was talking about supplements and stuff. And what he mentioned was you can pretty much tell if something's entirely snake oil is if there's no overall effects that come with overdosing on it. Like you can go eat a whole bottle of Alpha Brain, and if it gives you no adverse effects that are negative, it never did anything in the first place.
That's a good thing in theory to think about, but I feel like that encourages people to take a whole bottle of something to see.
No, but you can though. Like there's people on streams who like eat the whole bottle and it does nothing because it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's stupid. To take the whole bottle, yeah, that's stupid.
Well, just taking it in general is pretty stupid because it doesn't do anything. But you know,
I'm on a fat loss journey right now, and I take this stuff called Burn, which is thermogenic fat burner. I take one in the morning and then one at night.
What's it called?
Burn.
I'm gonna dig into it. You guys talk about it a little bit more. I want to know.
It's basically it's like chili peppers. It's basically like concentrated capsaicin. And for me, I think it works because I have like the slowest metabolism for a 27-year-old. So when I look at food, I get fat. So anything that I can do to help boost my metabolism, I'll take it.
Fun fact about capsaicin, it is also used to treat pain.
Yeah, you ever checked out the guy who is like a hardcore drug addict and then he turned to pepper farming and now he just gets high by like eating the hottest pepper. Yeah, gets high from like.
Not only is there no evidence that this burn thing works, which it might work, it might not. there's not a lot of evidence that any fat burners work. So just throwing that out there for people who are considering buying supplements that Landon talks about.
I would recommend it. I would recommend it if you're desperate like I am.
If you're desperate.
If you're
desperate like me, where just normal dieting and
I've lost
working out.
I've lost near like 100 pounds in like the last year and a half. So let me tell you what my method is. Don't eat so shitty. Take every chance you can to go on a walk and just fill your life with physical activity and replace the stimulus of food with something cool. There you go.
If you're desperate like me, I would check it out. It's proving to help me out.
Dude,
at least
you did jujitsu today. Maybe that's what's proving to help you out.
Maybe, but I definitely like
exercise. Who knows? Probably, maybe not. But this fat burning pill, this shit's getting me slim as fuck.
It's helping.
I mean, listen, it's your body, your choice, as they say. But I'm just saying, I don't. For those of you who are listening, he's not a nutritionist. That's all I'm saying. He's not a nutritionist, but he's putting his faith into this product. And if you think he's a smart guy, then yeah, go ahead, go buy it. I don't think it's real.
I think it'd be interesting to do a podcast where I just tell you guys, like an episode where I just tell you guys about wild MLMs. Because my favorite
Landon would be like investing in all of them.
No way, man! I don't.
What about Andrew Tate's Hustler University? That's a fun MLM.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
Landon, don't even pretend to like Andrew Tate. Or
No, he doesn't like Andrew Tate. We are.
So I worked as a camp counselor. I won't say where, but I had this kid from Serbia who was an edgelord, and like he got in trouble at the camp for like yelling out Andrew Tate is based.
As he should have.
And I got in trouble because he was saying it, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Of course you did. Because it's absurd. So of course you laughed.
Well, I don't think that's why he thought it was funny. I think he thought it was funny that the kid said one thing and it got reprimanded for it, right? Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to clarify why you thought it was funny.
He just kept, this kid just kept speaking his mind and getting in trouble for it, and, I would have to, pull him aside, hey, I'm going to look like I'm disciplining you,
I'm not going to stifle your free speech.
I'm not going to stifle your free speech.
But it is hate speech, though. I mean...
I don't see how that is.
Well, Andrew Tate, supporting Andrew Tate is hate speech, but he is a child, so it's not like I'm holding him to that parameter. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Andrew Tate is an actual charged sex trafficker, and
is he?
Yes.
Yeah,
is he?
Yes, I've been telling you this for so long.
No,
you
have
rated?
not.
Yes, I did. I said in Romania he was raided by the FBI. Am I wrong? It was in Romania, right? They were investigating
I don't
him.
know because we've never talked.
I'm talking
about
to Jessica right now.
I can't tell who you're talking to.
It's fine, Landon. Calm down.
Perfect chaos.
My point is, I did say it to you because clearly I already knew about it, and we talked about Andrew Tate already. You and I have already talked about Andrew Tate. I've already mentioned it, and I know the facts about it before Jessica just told me. I proved it by saying it was in Romania, which it was. The fact she did not mention.
No, he's awful. He's horrible, but he got kicked off of everything. So when he first got kicked off of everything, I watched the, people talking about him to see what he would do. Did he go on Fox News or was that somebody else?
He went on Fox News. He talked to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And then he posted a goodbye video that was 4 hours long, and it was an ad for Hustler University.
Yeah, and he did that by evading the ban and making a new channel to post it on.
Yep. And then he had a bunch of famous YouTubers, Twitchers, Fox News analysts tweeted out.
Yeah. But for MLMs, it would be fun to show you guys some of the more ridiculous ones. My personal favorite, unfortunately, it has already shut down. But it was called Black Oxygen Organics, and they sold bog
I've heard of this
dirt.
one. Yep.
Yeah, they sold dirt from a bog and told you to drink it, and then people started getting worms.
Yeah. They literally got worms. One person, they thought they were going to die from dysentery.
Yeah, so
from drinking it.
Yeah, they got shut down a while ago, I guess. But that was my personal favorite, was the one that's literally just, I feel like the person who started it had to be doing this just to troll people, because there's no other motive to tell everyone to drink dirt.
Well, there is the financial motive.
Yeah, but you could have done anything. Why?
Dirt is literally dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. It's in the expression. Dirt cheap. She heard that. She thought, or he thought, dirt is cheap. I will sell dirt cheap.
Yeah, I believe it was a guy. He also lied about where the dirt was coming from, because it was coming from a place right next to a landfill, and that didn't sound appealing. So he started saying it was coming from somewhere else, but that place was like protected nature reserves. So then he had to stop saying he was getting the dirt from there.
My favorite of the MLMs are the ones that somehow, like, even though there's such public like discussions about how they are MLMs, they still exist and are still prospering, like Herbalife or like Plexus.
Herbalife actually had to pay millions of dollars back to people for like Herbalife.
But it lasted like 10 years.
No, Herbalife was around for 40 years.
Yeah. Super long. I didn't even know it was that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they only had to pay damages for 5 years, the 5 years leading up to them getting sued. So they didn't pay damages for all, but just the 5 years before getting sued. It used to be free on YouTube, but it's called Betting on Zero, and it's about a guy who was, what's it called? Like when you short sell a stock or whatever, you're betting against the stock. He was doing that with Herbalife and like other companies that he thought was going to fail, and then he ended up being right.
I got a text from Franny while we're doing this, by the way.
Oh yeah.
She could hear our conversation. She wanted to say, Landon, that I did mention that to you, by the way. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, Landon wasn't paying attention. It's okay. We don't think he's an Andrew Tate fan. It's
No.
okay.
It's the fact that he said I didn't say that when I know I did, and I have to call Landon on his bullshit, or who will?
Or who will?
Same. I expect him to do the same for me. That's friendship.
All right.
He's left the chat. Landon.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. What's up?
Nothing. I just kind of got into I got garage. I re-downloaded GarageBand, and now I'm like checking out all the new sounds, and I'm like, oh my god, dude! Like I'm gonna be like, I gotta get off GarageBand so I can be involved in the conversation again.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we've strayed pretty far off course, and there is more recordings that we have to do for today. So. I just want to wrap it up with the importance of what the topic was originally. If there are extra things that you wanted to mention, because I'm sure we sidetracked some of those notes. What are some big points that you wanted to mention about the main topic, which is obviously the awareness month?
Probably the only other big thing is the estimates I've seen have varied, but anywhere between like 7,000 to 13,000 people get a spinal cord injury every year. So
wow, that's actually a lot. Okay.
Yeah, the number one cause is spinal cord injuries. And then what is it? The number one is spinal cord injuries. Number two is falls. Number three is violence, and then is sports. And it's only 8% sports, but I don't think people realize how often the sport you play, like I'm kind of anti football because it causes so many head injuries.
Yeah, it could totally fuck you up. I saw a concussion.
Just repeated concussions can cause severe life-lasting damage. But I mean, yeah, all it takes is like not being safe, and you end up with a spinal cord injury, and you are unlikely to walk again. So you be safe, be careful. Think about the sports you're playing and what it does to your body. I don't want to tell people not to play certain sports, but I'm just saying some of them are very, very dangerous, and I think it's weird that we normalize that.
For sure.
And yeah, just, the same thing I said when we just talked about, like we did the interview of me, just follow disabled creators. You're already spending plenty of time on your phone, I'm sure. Go out of your way to follow someone whose life is a little bit different than yours.
Yeah, 100%. What's that one that we love? I forget the name, but I actually followed her on the TikTok. Wow,
The girl
my
that
boomer is
before
showing on the TikTok. What's her name?
Shay Shits in the Bag.
Shay Shits in the Bag. Shout out to Shay Shits in the Bag, and of course, shout out to Mrs. _ Spacetime as well, Miss Jessica here.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guest Landon.
Smooth's official _
There you go. Smooth's official _ he makes content. He makes music content, obviously. He also makes music for all of the YouTube and podcast projects that I do. So if you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, it's Held Captive Media on YouTube. We do movie reviews and film discussions, stuff like that, movie news. If you see a big fat guy with a beanie, you're in the right place. All right. Peace out, kids.
All right. Adios.
We'll be seeing you.